Welcome to a video by Dodge Neon Racing. I'm doing a quick video here at work. It might be a little bit long. Alright. The important part about owning a Neon is doing oil change. I have seen lots of Neons in the junkyard, and a lot of the engine failures is because of not doing oil changes. Think of it this way. You have blood that pumps through your heart, okay? If you would have really thick blood, it's really going to be hard for your heart to pump that. That goes for the same issue with oil. The older it gets, the thicker it gets. So you kind of want to have that fresh, thin oil, because there's veins that go through the oil that's in your pan, a pump, vent tube that pumps it from the into the actual pump that sends it through the camshafts, up through vents that spray up into the piston walls to lubricate the pistons as they move up and down when there's combustion and spark. Now, if you don't do a correct oil change, or you have an oil leak, you're going to lose level, which is going to be enough oil to actually lubricate everything. So you're going to have problems with your engine getting too hot. Which over time, you're going to have bearings that's in there that are not going to get lubricated, so they're going to seize up. The piston rings and the walls will get overheated, which will end up scorching and causing them to seize up. So doing a regular oil change will knock all that out. If you have an oil leak due to whatever reason, valve cover gasket is bad and leaking through the valve cover, the spark plug tubes have worked their way out, so you're having oil come through there. Let's see what else could be. Your rear main seal is leaking, which the rear main seal is located between the transmission and the engine, and if that's leaking, you'll have oil coming down from there. But also you may think you have that, but your camshaft sensor, which is also on the side right there, could be leaking. Let's see, your oil pressure on the back could be leaking. Your fill tube, where you put the oil, where you check your oil, actually, the oil dipstick, that could have worked its way out. There's many reasons why you can have an oil leak. So if you have an oil leak, try to locate that oil leak and get that fixed, okay? Now, running a long time on the same oil, typically you can get on the Neon 3,000 miles in between oil changes. Depending on the oil, you could get up to 12,000. Older Neons, it's good to use conventional. Newer Neons, you can use a full synthetic. On newer ones, you can get away with it, like the 05, 04 models. But the 2000 models, 2001, 2002, you can use conventional as best, but you can use a half, which is half synthetic, half conventional. Typically, you want to run 520 to 530 in those engines, unless it specifies in the owner's manual something else, or the car itself. Alright, now the full reason of doing the oil change is to keep the engine running at a long period of its life. And by not doing regular oil changes, you're going to run into issues. As I've said, your pistons are going to get wore out, and your rods in there are going to start knocking, because if they don't get lubrication up in there, they're going to get too hot, which is going to cause the metal to expand, which that little gap that it actually needs is going to be bigger. So your rods up where the piston connects, your rod comes up through here and connects, it can move. So you're going to want to make sure you do it, and I highly stress this because it is very costly to get an engine rebuilt. It's not something cheap. It's very time consuming. So to save you a lot of money in the long run, do regular oil changes. Make sure your seals that hold the oil in camshaft seal, camshaft sensor, those seals are all good. So the older the car, the more mileage. You can also get, they make it STP oil treatment, which kind of like helps put zinc in the oil, which helps keep things lubricated, helps soften the seals up, keep everything running good. Valve cover gasket change, I would say on those cars, because a lot of cars you buy, especially used, every used car I've ever had, I've always had to change the valve cover because it's never been done. So, and it's not a hard job. I have videos on that. So make sure you do your oil change. You can get them done typically at Pep Boys, Jiffy Lube, Valvoline. One place I recommend not to do an oil change, you may have never ran into an issue, but one of these days you can, is Walmart. There's been many cases of Walmart forgetting to put the oil back in, forgetting to put the oil plug back in, forgetting to put the oil filter on, or not changing the oil filter, or they don't tighten the plug down enough, tighten the oil filter down enough, so you end up losing it. There's been many of those cases happen there. So I wouldn't recommend. Now, if you know how to change the oil yourself, I would recommend it doing yourself, because if you run into an issue, it's your fault. It's not someone else's. Because case being, for an example, you go to Pep Boys, get an oil change. Before you drive off, check your oil level. Make sure that oil level is in between the hash marks on the dipstick where it's safe. If it's above the hash mark, because you have a medium here, so if it's above here, too much oil. If it's below the hash mark or not even on the dipstick, 9 times out of 10 you maybe have a quart of oil in there and not enough to actually lube. If it's in between the hash marks, anywhere in between here, so if it's here, you might want to add about a quart. If it's up here, you have pretty much your whole 4 quarts of oil. So you always want to make sure if you're not leaking oil, you want to make sure when you look underneath the car. So here's the car. The transmission's here. If you're looking at it from the front, from here, all right, your transmission's here, your engine is here, so your oil pan's going to be right here, and that's where your oil plug is. Your oil filter is located over here. So if you have oil dripping from here or from here, which on your oil filter it may run this way and drip, or it may run back this way and drip. So if you have oil leaking from this area, you're going to want to check and make sure that everything's nice and tight. And one tip, when you change the oil, ask them if they do this, or do it yourself. The little crush gasket that's on the oil plug, there's a little gasket right there, replace that with every oil change. And when you snug that down tight, not too tight, not real tight, there is a torque spec on, I'm not for sure, but if you snug it down with a new crush washer, you won't have any leaks. And when you put your oil filter on, you can twist it on with your hand, nice, and get it on there nice and snug. You don't have to over tighten it, because I'll tell you what, if you over tighten that, getting that baby off is going to be it's going to be in a pain. I've broken many oil filter tools trying to get off oil filters that's either been on there way too long or over tightened. Alright, so I'll make this not too long. I just want to stress the fact of changing your oil. I want to thank all my subscribers that I have, all 200 and some of you, and all the people that watch my videos when I first release them out. I really want to thank you, because if it wasn't for you guys, I really wouldn't have a point of even making these videos and these pointers to help you guys out, because that's my #1 objective of doing this. I don't do it for YouTube profit, because I have a full-time job, and you know, I do make a little bit of profit. It's taken me, let's see, my first video was roughly about 4 years ago, and I'm just now getting to the $100 mark for my first payout through YouTube. So if it was about money, I surely would not be doing too well. But I do want to thank you guys for watching my videos and being there, because if it wasn't for you guys, I definitely wouldn't be here. And I am very appreciative. I'm going to try to work out more videos, tips and tricks, because right now, working a full-time job, it's raining a lot down here over here in Tennessee, and I don't have a garage anymore, so working on the Neon or my PT Cruiser. I also have now a Tahoe, so there may be some Chevy videos come up every now and then on working on a Tahoe. So if there's any kind of video you guys would like to see that's in my means of doing, leave it in the comments below. And all I ask is just tell your friends that own Neons about this channel. Subscribe if you haven't. And let me know what you think in the comments. Again, thank you. Check out my website, www.dodgeneonracing.webs.com, and keep your Neon running, because it is the best car you'll ever own.